Welcome to Damsels in Dialogue, a podcast dedicated to female protagonists in fiction, film, and the stage. Co-hosted by Katie Zutter
and India Marie Paul. For our third season, we cover animation royalty as we discuss the female protagonists in the Disney Princess franchise and the impact they've had on women of all ages.
This episode, we discuss the Little Mermaid who began the beloved Disney Renaissance era, Ariel. Welcome to season 3.
Season 3.
I'm so excited to be here.
Same. I am so happy to get kind of back to something that brought us together. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited to go over the Disney princesses. We only hit a couple of them in our first season, so now we really get to dive in to this massive franchise and these really important female characters to so many women of all ages, and I'm just really excited.
Yeah. And let's go. We're going to start this season off with one of easily the most popular and beloved characters of all time, the Little Mermaid. Yeah. So the Little Mermaid has a lot of just kind of like random history to it.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of firsts and onlys. Oh. That is a lot of just some of its timing. Mm-hmm. Some of it is up to you to decide. I'm not sure. Oh. But let's get into a little bit of that history first before we get into Ariel herself. So for the animation itself, before I do the Hans Christian Andersen, just so I don't forget all this stuff, and then we can like just continue to recap and remember. It was the 28th animated film from Disney, which when I read that, I'm like, that can't be real because the previous princess movie was Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, there's a huge gap.
Wild.
Yeah.
28. Sleeping Beauty was a flop, massive flop. Yeah. That may be why they didn't go back into the princess genre for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, that like baffled me. I'm like, wow, they really pumped out a lot of movies.
That's really what happened. To be like, I'm trying to remember what movies happened before this.
Yeah. The Great Mouse Detective did save Disney from bankruptcy.
That's a good one.
And that came out just before then.
Okay.
There was that. That was one of the bigger ones. You know, some that Disney likes to pretend didn't happen. We're not going to talk about those. We're going to pretend those didn't happen either. Yeah. Zippity-doo-hoo. And something else fun about this is actually Ariel, the Little Mermaid, was slated to go up right after Snow White.
Oh, okay.
Walt Disney was already in the works of drafting a script right after Snow White. And then, like, you know, things happen.
Yeah.
Look at Snow Queen. We talked about that last time. I mean, like he wanted to do Snow Queen forever and couldn't make that work. Yeah. So I'm sure it was like a similar thing. And when they finally decided to do this version, they had found one of Walt Disney's original scripts and had found that he had made very similar changes to the original that they were doing.
That's so cool.
How cool would that be? You know, like you're already working on it and then you find like Walt Disney himself is like, oh yeah, I got you.
I approve. Yeah, you feel like you like have that approval. That's amazing.
Right? Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. So it was directed and written by Ron Clements and John Musker. There was many concerns about Splash. They were very worried about Splash.
Yeah.
Everyone was worried about Splash. Specifically, Jeffrey Katzenberg. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I don't like him either way.
I don't care.
Because first, now, this is an understandable concern. Not super understandable. He's like, no, I don't think it's going to go well because like there's another movie, even though that one's live action.
Yep.
They're going to get it confused with this one. Okay.
Yeah, because they look the same.
Second one. Whatever. Well, that's why her hair is red.
Oh,
it was supposed to be blonde. Her hair is red now
sense.
because Splash has blonde hair, which we love that for Ariel.
We
love our redhead.
It's so iconic. Like she is an iconic color.
It helps her stand out from the rest of her sisters too. Like it's really great. It's just all around great. Also, he did not think this movie would do well. Sir Jeffrey thought it would not do well because it appeals to women.
There's so many things I didn't know that, and I already didn't like him. So like I feel like that's like another step.
He didn't. Yeah, he was like, this movie's not going to do well because it appeals to women.
Oh yeah, Disney never would go well with women. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's super cool. It also has 2 Academy Awards, which I was not surprised about, but there was one part of that I was surprised about. So obviously the score won. Yes. This was when King Alan Menken started working with Disney, and like the legendary combination of Alan Menken and Disney. Like, what a king. Who's continuing and just like bringing on a new legend. Alan Menken and In Heights. Hamilton.
Oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda. I thought like Ashman.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yeah. They are both now have been working on the past couple Disney films together. And they have been absolute icons because he worked on Moana with him.
That's true.
And Kanto. And now they are doing the new Little Mermaid, the live action. Alan Menken and Lin-Manuel Miranda are working together on that as well.
Okay.
Just icons. So obviously the score one, brilliant.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep.
This was very much a musical format. They purposefully made this a musical format. And you can tell it works really well. There's a theme that comes back. There's an ending number. It's like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
What I was surprised about is it did win an Academy for Best Song, but not for the song I thought it would win for. It won for Under the Sea.
That's right. I was like, wait, it's
not
one of the
for the ballad, which I was really surprised about because Under the Sea is really, really fun, but I don't think it moves the plot along quite as much as Part of Your World does.
Yeah.
But still great.
Yeah. I mean, it might be, I'm trying to think of like why that one would have been put up because they had to pick which one went up. I feel
they also wanted to cut the ballad from the show.
Oh my God. I hated that. That was in the documentary Waking Sleeping Beauty. And I was like, are you kidding me? Because he saw a couple bored kids in like a prequel that you're like, oh, we have to cut the I Want song.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was Howard Ashman who was very much like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And then a couple other, Glenn Keane, I think, was in that too and all that. But
Howard Ashman also, this is just our first and onlys.
Yeah.
This is a first and only for him.
Yeah.
Because this is the only one that he was able to see from start to finish.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah. It's, and you can tell. You can see them in there when they talk Jodie Benson through everything. Jodie Benson also has like nothing but lovely things to say about this movie. Like nothing but great things. She comes back all the time. She sang at weddings as Ariel. Like she's done so many things. She is such a queen. And one of her favorite things working on this film was being coached through singing Part of Your World. Yeah. That was one of her favorite moments of the film. So, and which makes sense. You can see you can find them on YouTube all over the place. There's video footage of her being coached through singing it. And it's really, really cool. And you can tell because it's the song really, you see her. It is truly her I Want song.
Yeah.
In a beautiful way.
Yeah.
She was this is a first, not an only. She was the start of the Disney Renaissance.
Yes.
The absolute start of it.
Yes.
And really kicked that off to the future. And she set a very high bar.
Yeah.
Not everything really made it to.
Yeah.
She also is the only Disney princess, the first and only to have a child.
When I was watching the second movie, I went, wait a minute. No other sequel has a kid. That was so cool.
She also is the only one with prequels.
That's so crazy to think about.
Yeah, what other Disney movies have prequels?
Tarzan has one, but that's a Tarzan. Like Jane's not in it.
Nobody in the Disney Princess franchise has a prequel.
That's crazy. And we'll talk when we get there. I have a lot of thoughts about the prequel, actually.
And it makes sense. It does make sense for Ariel because, like, what's more interesting? To see her
the Sea World,
living her life with Prince Eric, or like being a mermaid.
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah, being a mermaid. So that does make a lot of sense. There's just she's done a lot, and I'm sure as I go through, you'll just see even more things that she really has. Nobody has done some of these things. Nobody has done quite like Ariel again.
Yeah.
And it really does mark this Disney Renaissance, which is awesome. As a quick side note, we're going to jump through the Hans Christian Andersen story. Yes. Now, I'm going to say something at the beginning of the story and we will discuss it at the end.
Okay.
But Hans Christian Andersen says that he wrote the story with a happy ending.
Yes.
He wanted it to be a fun, happy ending. Most of the things you see on the internet and that you talk to, people say it's a tragic ending. So I will give you the highlights of the story. Tell me what you think after. So it does start out identical to the movie. He does like a brief synopsis of like the mer people and you see Ariel first and all of that. She has a widowed father. She has a grandmother who's not really super important to the story. Yeah. But she's there. 5 older sisters. They did an extra one so she could have one for all the 7 seas.
Oh, that's cool.
They did that for the movie. Yeah. Which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And something that this is like a pretty common fantastical lore thing that you find in different stories in different folklore. This, in Hans Christian Andersen's, it's specifically at 15, they can start taking turns going up to land. But you find this is kind of like a theme in like different mermaid, selkie, that kind of idea. So for this particular story, The Little Mermaid, it is at 15. On her trip, she sees a birthday celebration of a young prince, Eric, on a ship. So it's like play by play. This is now the play by play. So cute. Falls in love with him, saves him from drowning. Win, win, win.
Love it.
He is then same thing where he did not see her save him. He just sees this like temple maiden like run out and be like, oh no, there's somebody stranded on the shore.
Yes.
Cool. Now we find some fun lore, which is not in the film. Understandable why. Mermaids live for 300 years and humans don't. However, mermaids die indefinitely. They die permanently. They turn into sea foam and they just cease to exist. Whereas humans, when they die, they have a soul. So they go to heaven and continue to live on. So there's that. Fun little foreshadowing. So then seeks the sea witch for help. This is also very right with the book. The sea witch, she gets the potion that gives her legs in return for her voice. That's all pretty standard. The scary thing is that when she gets the legs, it feels absolutely terrible to her. And then every time she steps, it feels like she is stepping on knives all the time. And she will be a lovely dancer, but it will feel like she is dancing on knives and shattered glass all the time. That's how she feels all the time. So we love that for her. But she loves him, guys. She loves him. Well, this is a children's story.
She was so fascinated with having a soul. Story. In the original one, right? And loving him. But like it was such a weird existential crisis that she went through to go
Still not great. Not great that we're killing ourselves for this. Did we need it? No, probably not. And she can never return to the sea, period. Point blank, never can return to the sea. Now, if she can get a soul, if he marries her, thus attaching a part of his soul permanently to her so that she can essentially like grow her own soul. And all is grand. Now, if he marries somebody else, she will instantly turn into sea foam the next day. So cool. Love that for her. Love that for her. Now, he does find her and is like, oh, you're not the person who saved me, but I'll keep you around because you're fun and you can dance really nice. So dance for me anytime I want you to. And she's like, yes, of course. Of course I will dance for you every time I want, even though I literally feels like I'm dying. I would love to dance for you, sir. So they do that for a little bit. And he is like, keeps her around, enjoying her company. And then like to the point where he is comfortable with her enough to complain to her about his family and how they're like, oh, they're going to marry me away and I don't want to do these things. I have my own life. Surprise! That princess was in fact the temple maiden who came and like pulled him ashore. And he's like, oh my gosh, wait, just kidding. She saved me. I love her.
I love her so much. Let's get married.
Excuse you. So they do get married immediately. Cool. And then the sisters see this all happening. So all of her sisters forego their hair to get a magical dagger that she gets, that if she kills him before the next day and drips blood on her feet, that she can be a mermaid again and join them. But she cannot bring herself to kill him. So she does turn into sea foam. She throws herself into the sea with the sword or the dagger, best as she turns to sea foam. She's like, okay, I'm going to die. JK Lols. She actually turns into an air spirit that after 300 years of good deeds, she can like have a soul and go to heaven. That is the deal they made because of how much she wanted that in her life. So is that a good story or a sad, tragic story?
Well, I knew that she threw herself into sea foam until I never fully read the story. Like I always heard that at the end. And then all of a sudden there was like this epilogue of like, just kidding, I still get a soul because I did good stuff and I'm like, okay, well, if what she really wanted was a soul and he was kind of a way to do it, then I guess that, she gets, instead of disappearing into...
She gets like at least part of her happy ending.
I feel like
she has to do 300 years of good service to get that soul.
Yeah, and then wasn't there like an added sentence about like, if you find a kid who behaves well, you get a year off. So it's like in the kids' book being like, oh, let's just blackmail children to behaving.
Oh my gosh.
Or the Little Mermaid never gets to go to heaven. Yeah. As soon as the soul was introduced, it became so existential for me. When I was not prepared to have this like huge crisis on her hands about wanting that. It's tragic. I think why people connect to that story so much is like it's really the most pure, really painful version of unrequited love. In a very physically painful, like I will literally dance on glass and nails for you because I want to be complete through you. And the fact that she doesn't kill him and is happy to see him happy. It's such I think people connect to the story because of the tragedy of unrequited love. But
I'm so glad that Eric is not as bad as this guy. Well, I know that's not about Ariel, but I'm so glad he's not this bad. Like, what on earth?
Yeah.
But yeah, you do get Ariel is very strong-willed and is willing to go through a lot to get what she wants. And so they do take that from the original story, which I do like. I do understand the changes they made. I think trying to tie in the soul as well would have been a little tough in a 80-minute movie.
Yeah, like they got to talk about like heaven and earth. Like there's a whole other.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
No.
So I think they made a really good choice. I think it was really smart how they wove it all together. I think it was cute to make the Seven Sisters. You know, that like none of the changes they made affected the story enough that it was different. Ariel was still the same person. Yeah. The stakes were maybe not as high.
Yeah, that's
in this
fair.
one, but also this is marketed for younger kids. So I don't mind that.
And you had a clear villain in the movie, whereas correct me if I'm wrong, but in the story, the sea was just kind of like, you probably don't want to do this, but this is how you can.
Yeah, it's truly, it's all her own device that she makes. Yeah. So now this movie came out in 1989, did spawn quite a few things. This was kind of their first franchise within itself, and she continues to be one of the most popular of the Disney princess lineup. So we had, in order of release, we started with The Little Mermaid, which was 1989. Then there was the TV show, which was in 1992. Then there were 2 direct-to-video, which was the popular thing to do in the days.
Yes.
Direct-to-VHS. Now this is what shocked me, is the huge gap that Ariel was still so relevant that they made these so far away from everything else.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about other franchises like Frozen and one of the larger ones, Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
And none of these were this far apart.
Yeah.
After that TV show in 1992 that aired through 1994, the next thing didn't come out until Return to the Sea, about her daughter Melody, until 2000. And then the prequel came out in 2008. So those are all like very far apart.
Yeah, there's a lot of space and
from each other.
People were still excited to see it, and and
it's still very popular.
Yeah,
kids know all of the stories. Kids know all of those. Melody became a very popular character herself. But yeah, I would say the prequel is probably the least popular of all of them. But it did do a lot of firsts and onlys as well. The TV show especially. Well, I guess all of them did. I would like to go in order of release. Yes. I know this is not, so just because I think that's easier. And then we'll bring up some questions later.
Okay.
To dive into Ariel's character a little bit. Now, this is not the order, obviously, of that the events occurred.
Yeah.
From what I gathered, when they got to that last movie, they kind of threw out the entire TV series.
Because it was supposed to happen in between?
There's no way. There's no way they could have happened in the same universe. Like, to be brutally honest. Too many things happen. Too many things are answered in different formats.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. But yeah, so for the movie, The Little Mermaid, something that I think a lot of people jump in on with Ariel is the classic, but Daddy, I love him. And I do agree. However, something that I do want to bring up to remind our subscribers, our listeners, our adoring fans, is that Prince Eric is not introduced until 20 minutes into the movie, and she has already sang her I Want song. She does not have the statue of him. She does not know he exists. He is not introduced. She's already sang her full I Want song, and it does not include him. And then she meets him.
I thought I would be more annoyed with Ariel as an adult. I'm like, because I remember that line. You know, like, I'm 16, you know, I'm not a child.
you still kind of agree with Triton. You're still like,
I sympathize.
But you're not like mad at her.
I sympathize with what Triton is saying, but I also 100% see from her point of view just wanting something different, and him and Triton not communicating in a way that is effective would of course spawn those kind of one-liners. That's all he's letting her say. So like I thought I'd be so much more annoyed with like the teenageriness of her, but I actually very much found myself on her side even as an adult, being like, oh no, I understand why you said this, and I understand that feeling of not being taken seriously. Because the 16, I'm 16, is him not listening to her at all. Like he's completely ignoring everything she's saying. So it's just trying to get him to just talk to her like a person instead of a child. Right. So I was actually very impressed rewatching it, going like, oh, I'm not upset or annoyed by this moment. I hear you, Ariel. Stop. Yeah. Calm down, Triton, for a second, and let's talk about this.
Yeah. And you can see from her reaction, from when it comes out of her mouth, she realizes the mistake she just made. Yeah. The second she says it.
And they both do that.
Gasps and goes, oh my God.
They both do that because Triton, every single time he's had a yelling match with her, he immediately regrets it.
Oh, for sure.
So they were both like of the same kind, just like collapsing. Oh my gosh, yeah.
They're like the same human. And it's so funny to me too, because like, you kind of feel for him in that moment too, because this whole time he thinks that she's fallen in love with another mermaid. And he's like, and he's just like being this really sweet dad by himself. Like, I hope he's good enough for her. And I'm so happy
the little flower. Be like, Sebastian, guess what? I know.
He's like so excited. So you kind of feel for both of them in that moment where it's like, as it's a beautiful moment where as the outsider, and especially as an older human, you can see what's happening, and you feel so bad for both of them.
Yep. If everyone would just like calm down, have a conversation about our feelings, we'll be okay.
No.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, that. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people just like remember that line. And then,
I was one of them.
Cling to that.
I was one of them. Yeah, and I went back and watched it, and I was continuously impressed at the amount of courage she has, and kind of in awe of the naivete that she has as a teenager. Like I was constantly reminded that she was a 16-year-old, and I think she fully was written as one in a way that wasn't annoying, but just real. So her bright-eyed bushy-tailness, I think it really played a lot better than I remember it playing.
Well, I mean, she's the original Rapunzel.
Yeah.
She's the original, I don't know anything about this world because I've never been allowed to live in it.
Yeah.
You know, so her, when she doesn't know all the human stuff, it's endearing because she's genuinely trying to figure it out. And it's not that she's an idiot. It's that she truly doesn't know, because how would she? How would she know what a fork is? Yeah. How would she know what a pipe
so
is?
Endearing. It like, you know, watching her like talk to the statue like a poster. Like I just
like, it's not her being dumb, because you can see her put things together, and she is very clever. But how would she know? Yeah. Not being like, it's literally a different world. Yeah. I also, something that I loved in this recent rewatch is, now she's been, I know I'm like hopping around the movie a lot, but when she gets onto land and she's been given this task, she's like, you need to get this guy to kiss you in like 3 days. And Sebastian's like, girl, I got you. Oh my God. This is how you do it. And he's like talking her through. Because he cares about her as much as she drives him nuts. He cares about her. And he's like, I cannot let you be controlled by Ursula. Like that is his focus. He doesn't even care about Eric. He's just like, girl, you are getting through this.
We're going to do it.
You know, and he is trying. He is trying so hard. And something that really endeared me to her as well, and to Eric in this moment, is both of them were having so much fun.
I love that.
Making out was literally the last thing on their minds. And not that they didn't have great chemistry. They did, but they were just enjoying their time together so much that like kissing wasn't even something that crossed their minds, because they were having so much fun together.
Yeah. Something that Howard Ashman had said in an interview about the I Want song is that basically you have a lady sit on something, whether it's a trash can or a rock or whatever have you, a stool, whatever, and you sing the I Want song, and then you put it really early so that the audience knows what they want, falls in love with the character, and then they root for them to get it the entire movie. And something that I was impressed by this rewatch was just how much I wanted it to be Eric. Because he was such a romantic through the entire, and we'll talk more about him in the after hours, but they were just such a good fit, and watching them both wordlessly enjoy each other was so
really sweet.
It was so much sweeter than I remember. I'm like, oh my God,
they like genuinely
romantic.
fall in love. It's still fast.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. It's still only a couple of days.
But I believe it.
You believe it. They're both of those people are just adventurous, wild, young, wherever the tide takes me kind of people. And so you believe that they fall in love in 3 days. Like,
I did. I was like, I'm in. We're here now. I was so heartbroken when she comes down and Vanessa is there. I was like, oh.
You're devastated.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, the poor thing. Yeah. Because like even then, their caring for each other is so powerful that the voice isn't enough.
Yeah.
She has to curse him. Like physically curse him to get it to work.
Yeah.
Which I think says a lot about them as a couple, as a wild and crazy couple.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how they get anything done. But
nothing.
I
get
bet
nothing
they're
done.
great together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like they do fit each other well.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoy this for them, and I like this for them because Ariel is constantly searching for something more and something new and something exciting. And she is, I mean, this is the classic. She's at the end of the line of princesses.
Yes.
She would have sat her whole life in that palace just waiting for Atina to ascend to the throne, and then on to the next, like she just would have been another princess in the castle.
Yeah.
And so, and you can tell from just very early on, and having Eric be this adventurous sailor, it's perfect because she does truly get the best of both worlds. With, Flounder can still be close and she can still see her family, and like I don't know, you love that for them. Yeah. At the end, and it totally, it's very satisfying for her to get that, especially because she does love him. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, that's what we've been talking about. She does love him. Yeah. But her enjoyment of everything, like she just loves learning things. And you love that for her. And now she will forever get to annoy poor Grimsby.
Oh my God.
Poor seasick Grimsby.
He brought it upon himself.
Yeah, he does. She is endearing to him, but I imagine just continuous, like, no, my queen, that is not how this works.
Well, I was really impressed and kind of like, what's happening when, okay, so you have this shipwrecked woman, what they think is a ship, brings him into the castle, washes her up, and then Grimsby be like, hey, this girl. Like, it feels like everyone's...
That's the girl. Do you like her?
Everyone's on board.
Someone.
There's no, like, hierarchical issues with... I was like, what is this? Where's the king and queen?
Right. So it's under the assumption that the king and queen do not exist. Okay. It's under the assumption that they do not exist. You never see them. You never hear from them.
True.
So it's under the assumption that he has been raised by Grimsby.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Because he is not around. Like, there's no family around. I mean, Grimsby buys him a birthday present.
That's true.
Not Mom and Dad.
Okay. So he's like,
I think Grimsby is like actually concerned.
Just get a queen.
We need a royal family. You're the only one left, and you only want to sail. Like,
she can't
can
talk.
You get it together?
And she's using a fork weird, but here you go.
It's somebody. Like, we're at our last legs. Like, he literally was like turned down the last princess they went to.
I know.
Like, oh my
so
gosh.
Funny. That's what I was watching. I'm like, man, they're really loose with this like random person who's just coming into the castle.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they have no idea. So, and we will talk about in the after hours how this is also the one and only Disney princess movie that you cannot put in a time frame.
Oh,
She has no name to her kingdom. So there's a lot of crazy things.
There were no names in the original story either. It was just the Little Mermaid.
No. So just we'll talk about more of that wildness in the after hours. But turning back to Ariel for a little bit though, she kind of like hitting some of the points we hit in our Maiden Madness. She is incredibly brave to do all these things that she's explicitly told not to. To go up to the sea witch to get what she wants. She's very loyal and loving. She does tease Flounder a lot, but when push comes to shove, she gets Flounder first. And puts herself between whatever danger is there. And Flounder or whoever else. Like, she is devastated. The look on her face when her father trades himself for her is the worst. Like, she as much as she wants adventure and excitement, she does truly care about everybody who is important to her.
And it's not given.
I do love her.
Yeah, that she's not given the time. I was thinking about like, well, she signs this contract, not really even out of spite. They catch her at the perfect manipulatable time for a 16-year-old girl. And then she doesn't get time to think. It's all like there, which is makes Ursula a fantastic negotiator.
Oh, for sure.
Because she's
That's
presented.
why she has all those little shrimpies.
Well, she's presented with all the, like, she sees them. There's no hiding it. There's no like, you're not hiding what's going to happen if this doesn't work. She just manipulates her to a point at the perfect time, doesn't give her time to think about it, and then all of a sudden it's happening. Like, it's so quick that I can't even be mad at her. You know?
She's been absolutely manipulated in this situation so fast, and she's getting what she wants, and she still wins. And she's a queen. She's a queen. She is a queen. She gets people around her, rallying with her. Yeah, and I see why she hits a lot of marks for little girls. For a lot of different ages, honestly. For little girls, it's like, oh, she's magic. She's a mermaid. Mermaids are real. What? Yeah. She's a princess and she's a mermaid. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You know, for little kids, that's awesome. You get older and those like the teenage years, you relate to her heavily.
Yes, a lot.
With her and her dad. And what a, like, obviously there's miscommunication there, but like, what a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
That they grow into.
Of apologizing. You know? When Triton says, it's my fault. What have I done?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, own it. Own the mistake. Get better.
Like, she feels so bad when her father has to like pick up any mess that she's made. You know, it may take her a little longer, but she's the kid.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It's great. It's really great. And then when you're older, it is that whimsical, nostalgic. Yeah, of course I wouldn't want a life different than where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
like, yes,
let's
please.
do it.
So yeah, it just hits a lot of marks.
It does, and she saves Eric just as much as she is a damsel in distress. So they balance it really well. And a line that like jumped out at me this time was telling Eric to save himself, that she was going to handle it, and she's like, "You take care of yourself."
And he's like, I'm not losing you again.
Oh my God. He becomes so, yes, we will talk about him. But like that line, I was like, oh, like that's a very powerful line after she hasn't been able to talk to him for so, like that's
like one of the first set of words she says to him.
Yeah. Amazing.
Don't worry about me.
There's just she has no plan. She almost dies.
Of course not.
Jumping in front of like the Triton and like pulling Ursula's hair, and then she like,
of course. It's all completely impulsive.
Yeah. It's completely unattainable heroism. And she's just like, save herself. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but here we are.
Right.
It was great. I mean, it's that naivete that you admire in a young heroine that's going to make her so great when she grows up. Like that you're like, that's the first step. You know, like those qualities. For sure. I loved it.
Unyielding confidence while having no plans.
Yeah. It's impressive, really.
Amazing.
I could totally get him to kiss me in 3 days. I've never kissed a boy, but here we are. Unless she has. I mean, I don't know. Like,
as far as the lore goes, she has not.
Okay. I was like, I don't know. Like,
is there anything about the first movie? There's one thing I wrote that has nothing to do with her, but just like cracks me up, and this will not take much time, so I could just say it now instead of saying it in the after hours.
Do it.
I wrote, and I quote, "Max knows what's up."
Yeah.
At the wedding, Vanessa's walking down the aisle, and Max is the only one that's like, "Who's this girl?"
Yeah. Just like, from the get-go, he's like
nobody
pushing him to Ariel and like brings it like, you are a good dog. You're a good boy, Max.
Yes. And she takes to him really well as someone who has never dealt with animals before.
Yeah.
She's like, this large furry thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
Oh, there's a lot of the, like, experiencing of the world that's just like blown over, like the fact that Eric goes from like being a normal person where mermaids didn't exist to like all of a sudden there's like a magic octopus and a mermaid, and then like magic exists, but now I'm gonna go with my little pointy stick.
Everyone can understand Sebastian.
Everyone can understand Sebastian.
Everyone can understand Sebastian.
There's a lot of inconsistencies. As far as like that.
Oh, that's the taste of the inconsistencies.
Oh yeah, that's just like,
I told you, this doesn't exist in a time frame.
Yeah, that's on the surface. This is the surface of like era. That. Oh yeah, like it. So there's a lot of questions about that I have that aren't like about her. I actually thought they developed her. It was really nice to see a fully developed parental relationship, friendships. You don't get a taste of the sisters until other stuff, but you get a little bit of that, which is really cool because you don't see a lot of other women sommes in Disney movies. Yeah. So there's a lot.
Yeah, and there's a lot of women in this one.
So it was really cool, and you get to know them better in other of the movies, which is really cool. So I was really impressed with just all the women in the movie felt not two-dimensional and felt like they had their own personality a lot of the time. The sisters started to blend in that specific movie, but they still had like their own little things.
There's also many of them. Yeah. And they're, and they don't have a lot of screen time, so it makes sense. They all have A names.
Yes. That's you have to remember, like, confused. Yeah. But I think they did a really good job with her, and the fact that she doesn't actually talk for a large chunk of it didn't lower her character development, which is a testament to the animation itself, which is really cool. And a little note that I had that I just enjoyed is when they're cleaning Ariel's clothes and Sebastian goes from like the washroom onto the line. Them gossiping about Eric's love life was so sweet. Like it was a cool callback to like the fact that so many fairy tales were spread when women were doing chores, that I was just like, that's just a nice, like, it's that stuff that's in between that just like was really cool. And I ended up really liking Ariel more than I remembered liking her, because who doesn't love mermaids? Great. But like Ariel herself was just so freaking courageous and gung-ho to get to do what's right too, because she also like, if she wanted to just be human, it wasn't like you don't have to save one necessarily. And when Triton's like, who cares about the human, she's like, Hughes die, and she can't like it, she's fighting for that. Like, I was really impressed rewatching the movie. It was nice. She's awesome. And the music is great.
You see why she's so popular.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
So now let's head over to the next film in the saga, which is Return to the Sea. Now, this one is primarily about Melody, which is her daughter. So this definitely doesn't have nearly as much notes as the other stuff. But it does bring up some really cool things. One of my favorite parts of actually the whole film is the beginning. Ariel's involved, where you first meet them and you see them and they're singing a song, opening number. She's holding Melody and she opens the window and they're on a ship. How cool. How cool. How very Eric and Ariel. You've seen from this opening number, you learn so many things. You learn that obviously they have a family now. Obviously things are going well. They now have a ship that they consistently go out to visit Triton. They're introducing their daughter to Triton.
So cute.
That's so cool. Obviously they've grown up a lot, and it's just really, it was really, really cool. And when she does get taken by Morgana, all three family members save her. Ariel takes the sword, slaps it down onto a railing to knock things out of the way. Eric jumps in after, and King Triton finishes it.
Oh, it's like so good.
They all three of them jump in to save Melody. It is not just one of them. And I think that's so cool. And they all bring something so different to the table. You know,
that
Ariel does not think
times.
before she does things.
Yeah.
Does, and then everybody is like, okay,
like they do that multiple times in the movie where like each one has a role and it's just as important in the saving of everyone in it. And I was like, that's well done, family. You're like a unit.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And you see how devastated she is, because obviously she has grown accustomed to having her castle right against the sea.
Yeah.
Where she can go see her family. And then the instant that that's threatened, you feel for her.
Yeah.
That she has to build this wall. And like me watching it this last time, it like hit me really hard during the beginning where she walks out by herself and puts her feet in water.
Me too.
And just says, I miss you, Daddy.
Oh my God. That was so heartbreaking. I'm like,
have you not seen him this whole time?
Yeah. Apparently not.
Been like 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So yeah, you feel so bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
Something that was a cute callback is this movie did go alongside with the original TV show.
Okay.
Because there is a episode, and it's a very good one. It's an episode where there is a manta ray who is the bad guy, and he like sows seeds of mistrust. Mm-hmm. That's kind of his like magic power. He makes everybody just be discriminatory and hateful. Okay. And it's really tough. And he tries to get Flounder, and it doesn't work on him.
Aww.
Because of how much he loves Ariel and how much she means to him.
Yeah.
And as he's trying to get him to not like her, you see a flashback of when he first meets her. Aww. And Ariel's hair is the exact same as Melody's. The only difference is that Melody's is black. And it's really cute. And basically in that story, Flounder's all by himself, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm guppy number like 37 or something insane."
Yeah, I mean,
but they call me Flounder because I'm not good at swimming, and she immediately makes him important. She's like, "I will call you Flounder. You are my friend."
That's so sweet.
And that's how they become friends. Is they're both really little, and she makes him feel important and not afraid, and that she'll protect him. And I'm like, get out of here. That's so cute.
Oh, she's just a good person.
Yeah. Yes. And so I did love in this movie that they clearly had watched the last one, because that was a really cute callback.
Yeah.
To little baby Ariel that she matched Melody. Yeah. Melody and Ariel matched. This was also the first film that had a female involved in the high up stuff. So one of the screenplay writers was a woman.
That's exciting.
Elizabeth Anderson. Whereas the previous movie was like almost all men. So that was kind of cool to have her in there. They also have like a beautiful moment at the end where they all come together. There's this like, you can see Ariel's like, no, I was really, I was not the cool kid when no, Mom, you're perfect. No, you have no idea.
That's the moments that you actually get. What I liked and sometimes disliked about this sequel was that the writing, the consequences seemed all about timing rather than actual like consequences of actions necessarily, where like Ariel, if they had just taken a moment to talk, which she wanted to, it would have gone fine. Whereas in the first movie, Ariel and Triton couldn't talk, which was the issue. So it was so many things happened just because the timing was like mismatching. It wasn't as character developed-y. But
right. And it is a straight to VHS.
Yes. No,
but for a straight to VHS,
it was
pretty good.
It was very entertaining. And what I did like about that is they didn't make Ariel into Triton, and they didn't make her into like an overbearing mother all of a sudden. Like she was still her. It felt like herself.
Yes. And it was truly her, just matured.
Yeah, it was lovely. And seeing her talk to Melody about being not fitting in was such like seeing her sitting on the bed. Like, how many actual Disney movies do we get where a mom is like having a real conversation with a daughter, and it's very
like
sweet.
A healthy conversation.
Yeah. Like when? Hardly ever. Like there's
and
so
dad's
few.
Like encouraging it.
Yeah.
And mom and dad are so in love.
When dad comes in and it's like, you guys, what are you doing up here? And they're like, doing hands. I'm like,
what a dad thing.
So sweet. Like, it was so like everything about that family was charming. And so it was truly her just feeling like something was missing, which it was. And then they decide, you know what, we've owned that we haven't told her the truth because, all the things we justified it with, we have to tell her. And then the timing of her running away. Like it was really cool that they came to that conclusion right away and were mature, loving family members. Overall, like I really loved seeing a mature Ariel, because you're right, we don't get mature princesses. We don't get the queens. No. It was really cool to kind of see it and believe that about her. It was really endearing. I remember when it first came out being like, this is amazing. We get to go back into the ocean, and you see the parallels between the two. You get them duetting when the mother and daughter duet. I was like, this is great. We get women singing together. It was I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't straight to VHS. It was a straight to VHS. Right. So the songs were a little sloppier, animation a little sloppier, writing a little sloppier, but a little.
But this was better than most of the Renaissance second movies.
I agree with that. It was definitely more rewatchable than a lot.
Oh my gosh, sequels. Yeah. And some of the TV shows were really rough.
Oh.
This was not one of them.
Okay.
So this TV show, which we'll jump back to before we go to the final movie. So this one came out right after the movie. This is only a couple years. It aired from 1992 to 1994. This one, the first thing that shocked me in the first season is that all the characters were exactly the same. And that sounds silly. But when you think about things like Lilo and Stitch and Tarzan and Atlantis, some of these other ones that had little TV shows that came out, and the characters were all caricatures of themselves. They were not well-rounded. Some of them were hyped up in a weird way. They didn't do what normally the character would do.
Yeah.
Whereas this, from the get-go, it was the same. They got Jodie Benson back.
Yeah, she's in all of these.
Yeah. She's in everything. And so was the guy who plays Sebastian.
That's awesome.
He's in everything too.
Yeah.
They got as many people as they could back for as many things as they could.
That's cool.
Obviously, Flounder's the hardest because Flounder's a child. Yeah. And so there's always so much they can do with Flounder.
Yeah.
But, I was impressed. Okay. I'm like, this is not a caricature of Ariel. This is not a caricature of Flounder. And it easily could have been. And it wasn't.
Was this the first one? Like the first TV series of a Disney animated movie?
I'm not sure. It may have been.
It had to have been. It
may have been.
Yeah. I wonder, because it was still in the middle of the Renaissance. Let's
look it up. Aladdin came out after. That's 1994. Hercules, 1998. Legend of Tarzan came out in 2003 or 2001. Lilo and Stitch, 2003. Little Mermaid, 1992.
That's what I think
it may be the first one.
And it was probably taken care of, I feel like they probably wanted to put their best foot forward rather than do
for sure,
plot-driven sitcom-y episodes, which I think is the downfall of the others.
Oh, for sure. Because this one, of course, just Tangled had a few in there too.
Yeah.
You have those little those filler episodes, if you will, to lighten the mood.
Yeah.
But yeah, this first one I was really surprised. I wrote a couple times, the development of King Triton in relation to his daughters was so endearing.
That's awesome.
Throughout, because you had those moments of him she's gonna drive me nuts. Then I'll back down. Or her doing the same thing. And I really like that. I really like seeing Ariel as Ariel. And I think having Jodie Benson on it as well, and like you said, it's their first time doing it, taking that care. It really showed because it aged really well.
That's awesome.
And I really enjoyed it. Of course, there's lots of puns.
I mean,
but it's a TV show.
There should be.
Yeah, literally the only difference I saw, especially in this first season, was that Flounder is a little more brave.
Yeah,
but that's really it. Okay. And even then, not by a lot. I'll just give you some rundowns of my faves.
Yeah,
of my fave little quotes that just cracked me up. Also, a sneak peek from after hours. Ariel's literally in the hospital right now. The little hospital.
Oh my god!
And the doctor's like, you can talk to her now if you need to. You can, hang out with her for a little bit. And Sebastian literally tells Triton, don't yell at her now. Wait until she feels better.
I mean, not bad advice.
Triton's I'm not going to yell at her at all. What?
I just know you, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, very funny. In episode 3, we are introduced to a continuous villain who comes back quite a few times called Lobster Mobster.
No, it is not.
That is his genuine name. Yes, it is Lobster Mobster.
Oh, I'm all for that.
You also meet Sweet Urchin that episode, which is our sweet young merman who becomes part of the friend group and is a reoccurring character as well. Yeah, a lot of the episodes are her. She covers some really heavy topics sometimes too, which we'll get into, which is crazy to me that they were able to get into some of these bigger things. Urchin is an orphan.
Okay.
And she befriends this outcasted orphan.
Yeah.
And by the end of the series, Triton calls him his son.
No, she got a boyfriend?
No, not a boyfriend.
Okay.
He definitely has a little crush on her. But no.
Okay.
He thinks of him as a son.
Gotcha.
Is how much she has integrated him into, and she cares for him a lot.
That's cool.
And he is very much an outsider, didn't want to deal with other people. I can handle myself.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I got you.
Yeah.
Love that for her. She's changing everyone around her, which is a very Disney trait. A very Disney trait is that the princess tends to not necessarily go through their own big journey, but be so good and such a force that everyone
changes around them
to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ariel definitely is like that. Also, in the series, King Triton was the redhead, which I preferred.
I like that. Yeah.
Because she is a lot like her hot-headed dad.
Yeah, she is. Yeah,
personality-wise, she is significantly more like her father.
Yeah.
Which I do enjoy. I think their relationship is really sweet. Also, the sisters, there is a at least mid-size sister.
Thank goodness. Because what the TV heck? Show. You know, with the big as my pinky.
And it's never brought up. She's never made fun
That's
of.
Great.
It's literally, exists. It just happens to be that one of them is a bigger size than everybody else. And this is 1992, friends.
Yeah, like that's good for you, Disney.
This is also where they set up the human disdain, where it's the slow burn up. We're at episode 6, where he's like talking about how you can't, like, we don't deal with human stuff because humans are really evil to us and they fish us. And, you know, so he's like, this series very much was like, let me cater to what is going to happen.
Yes.
Which I very much enjoyed. Yeah. I already talked about the Founder's origin story where Ariel and little Ariel and Melody have the same hair. And I love that. This one also in the origin story has a very popular song from, at least in the Ariel Disney fandom, which is Harmony. Harmony.
Oh,
in harmony.
Yeah.
That's what it's from.
That's so sweet.
It's this really sweet song that Disney uses occasionally still.
Yeah.
And it's from the TV show.
That's
and
awesome.
It's them all singing in harmony together, which she does. That is during where the Manta is trying to show disdain to everybody. And she gets them all to sing in harmony together.
That's sweet.
Because we love her. Just to put out some other like positive things that this show was very above and ahead of its time. In episode 10, there was a black mermaid.
That's awesome.
In the show who had lines and was not just like a random mermaid in the crowd.
That's amazing.
Which I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Clocked that.
Yeah.
All of season 1 had a lot of some reoccurring villains that came back. We had some characters that went along with her. And it was this slow progression it didn't have its own plot. It was more of the slow progression of let us lead up to this movie we're about to, that you're obviously you have already seen.
Yeah.
But it's like,
they built
now met Flounder. Yeah, we've met Flounder. We're like sowing the seeds of mistrust of humans, that kind of thing. Season 2 gets a little weird.
Okay.
Mozart is in it.
Okay.
We do get a little background on the family history of music.
Oh, cool.
Not only was her mother big in music, but her grandfather, Grandpa Neptune,
nice,
was also into music, and he played this giant organ.
Nice.
And so Triton wants nothing more than for Ariel to also play it, and she is terrible at it, so she cannot. But,
that's sweet. That's very sweet.
But yeah, so you have some of that music connection that obviously is very important to Ariel. Season 2 got a little weird where they like forgot about some of the recurring characters. Ariel was still Ariel.
Okay.
Flounder was still Flounder. Everyone was still themselves. But they were just kind of like doing a little more of those like vignettes.
Okay.
But this is where the iconic Gabrielle is introduced halfway through season 2. She is a Hispanic deaf mermaid. And she signs.
93.
She signs and has an interpreter.
That's awesome.
In 1993.
That's so cool.
And she's mute. She cannot sing.
So
she fully signs. Like there are moments where nothing happens. Like she's in danger and Ariel's screaming at her and they're like, she can't hear you. You need to do something else.
That's awesome. So Ariel like recognizes what she needs and like, ugh.
And Gabriella does it a lot for Ariel.
That's awesome.
Gabriella saves her a couple times.
That's awesome.
Because she goes to do something and Gabriella makes a motion and Ariel picks it up. She's like, oh my gosh, snapping turtle. It's really cool.
That's
so
awesome.
it introduced that. It introduced sign. It introduced interpreters and how the interpreters can also be your friend.
Yeah.
At the end of it, it's this beautiful moment where they both get a wish. Their wishes ended up not coming true. She wished that she could sing and Ariel wished that she could have 2 legs so she could dance.
Yeah.
And at the end, they both hype each other up.
Aww.
And Gabriella's like, I can still dance and I have a fin. I dance with my hands. And she shows all these beautiful sign. And Ariel's like, well, you tell beautiful stories with your hands.
Yeah.
So you don't need to sing either. You don't, and it's like it's beautiful. Like it's a beautiful episode. I was
That's
oh my gosh.
amazing.
It was really cool. I'm like, come on, where is this energy now?
Yeah.
Like,
And to actually
what?
like draw the physical signing and everything, like that's amazing.
Yeah, they drew out the signs. It was really, really cool.
That's awesome.
So highly recommend. That is episode 6 of season 2.
Okay.
I obviously am not fluent ASL. So if someone is, I would love to know how accurate she is.
How they did with it. Yeah, for sure.
That is, it was really cool to me. And Gabriella with a very distinct darker skin tone.
That's awesome.
Different shaped eyes.
Yep.
Different hair texture. I was like, come on,
Get
people. Come on. Where's the energy? She also meets Han Christian Andersen.
Oh, that's fun.
Just going back to craziness.
Oh,
yep,
so we're doing
him.
I'm going to write about the thing that I...
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Meets him. Also, Scuttle met Beethoven, because of course, why not?
We're just hitting all the old composers.
Season 2.
Yep.
Season 2. Eric sees Ariel.
Oh.
But is confused by what he sees.
Okay.
He's like, was that
that's a nice little like, it's not like a, hey, let water come down on you and like forget everything like the Hercules animated.
No, it wasn't that. Like he for sure is like, that's weird. And then earlier I forgot to mention that she does see the back of him.
Oh, that's kind of cute. I like the little things like that.
She sees him when they say, oh, that porpoise is going to wreck the nets. Get rid of it. And he pulls out a knife and she's super scared.
Oh.
And Flounder's like, we gotta go. And Eric jumps in and frees the porpoise.
Oh, Eric.
And she's like, oh, he's nice. But Daddy said they're mean. But like, he's nice. And Flounder's like, we must be in the wrong ocean.
That's awesome.
Because he's, Flounder, we love you, but you're still a cupcake heart.
Oh, yeah.
Now, season 3, they do bring a lot of the characters back.
Cool.
Urchin comes back more. We have the Shark Nation from episode 1. We have all these things that come back. Another big topic they covered is child abuse.
Oh, okay.
Now, that is not directly with Ariel. That is Sebastian gets to meet this child who is in a very tough situation. And it really hit me hard because at the end, he's like, if I'm ever in a situation like this, I'll know that it's not good for me and I shouldn't be treated this way. And if I'm being mistreated, I should leave and I should tell someone. I was like, oh my God.
Like, are we just, okay. I guess.
I mean, yes, you are right. But like, wow.
Kid show. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. And Gabriella comes back.
That's great.
And all this. It's really cute. They do a really good job of setting everything up. And Ariel, you see her get, as the TV series goes on, she does get more and more adventurous. You see her, she finds that sunken ship that she eventually gets all the stuff from. You see her move everything to her grotto. You see a lot. You see Ursula start to get more and more invasive into their kingdom.
Cool.
It is a really nice setup to the show. Now, because they definitely set it up like this is how it's going to be leading up into the movie. There is no like solid end.
You already have the end. You like it. Yeah.
Because the ending is just the movie.
Yeah.
So it does feel kind of like this is it.
Yeah.
Like there's no more.
Yeah.
But it is cool to see the lead up and see where Ariel goes and how she goes through everything. I think it's really cool.
That is really cool. I feel like Disney TV series did like a U, where like if we're starting with the Ariels, whether we're starting off strong, then we just like start to curve down, take a short dive down, maybe pop back up on the Lilo and Stitch train, and then end up where we've gotten
Tangled was great.
That's like I think we've like U'd. I think we're back at like them finding what they need to be, and that balance of like mature content for kids.
Especially now that they're doing more of these TV shows, are becoming more and more popular.
Yeah.
They're amping up for more.
Yeah.
They better be at Rapunzel quality because like
Tiana and Moana are coming up. So
it's just, to start so strong with this Ariel, and don't get me wrong, it has its faults. It's not phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch it and like cringe.
That's great.
Whereas like some of the other ones, I'm like, these are just vignettes. These are just like cash grabs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gabriella is not in this.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yep. Yeah. We've talked about a couple of those at this point.
Yeah. Like how inclusive. That's so inclusive. Like what?
That's really cool. Like that's someone caring enough to put that representation into a early 90s animated TV series.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
It's awesome. And then so really Ariel gets 2 prequels. Because then the last movie.
Yes. So the last one is, to be honest, it is, I don't know how they can put them together. They can't.
Yeah.
Because in it, they do a lot of things that don't make sense in the world at all.
Mm-hmm.
I get the concept of, ooh, let's explain the mom.
Yeah.
What happened to the mom?
Yeah.
Cool. Get it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, he doesn't like humans because.
Yeah. It gives that more of a purpose.
That's super weird, though, because he's already talked about it a bunch that he doesn't like it because they fish his nation.
Yeah.
We already know why he doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to protect her because they fish his subjects.
Yes.
But now we're adding on mom. Okay. So now we have to like rebrand that in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
Music wasn't allowed. Cool. You have a full orchestra. You have been doing music since you were a child.
You met Mozart.
Your father played you an instrument to sleep every night.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to forget all that.
Yeah.
She meets Flounder just scatting outside the castle.
See,
and he's super, super brave.
Yeah.
And is not scared at all. That does not impact me as hard as I'm copy number 32.
Yeah.
Well, you're Flounder to me. Like, oh.
Yep.
What? I was like, ugh. So there are a lot of things that I didn't like. Also, the sisters, all of them became straight up caricatures. You had the boy crazy one.
Mm-hmm.
You had the dumb blonde who wasn't that in the TV series.
Mm-hmm.
You had Atina just like, I'm the good girl queen. They could have talked about so much with Atina because the mom stayed back to save her and pull her tail out of the rock.
Yeah.
But no, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
You know, they were just like, so, and I was a little bummed by all this, that it just didn't line up with anything that they had previously slated because this one had so many women involved in its creation. Movie. It was directed by a woman.
Yep.
It was produced by a woman.
Yep.
The screenplay was by men, but the story was by 2 women. They changed everything. They made Athena the redhead. They switched out the colorings. It makes her. They made her look identical to her mom.
Yeah.
Who's, by the way, Ariel is based off Alyssa Milano.
Yes. Yes, I did know that.
But it just. I was disappointed in it because it had taken away so many fun things about even just the original movie.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh.
Well, that's
okay.
by itself, there's a couple things that I enjoyed, at least because if you don't look at the TV series, if you look at this as the prequel, because obviously they didn't, they just ignored it.
Right.
I do enjoy that you at least get to talk to the. There's a lot of sister scenes, and that's
you
really
do get
cool.
to talk to the sisters in the TV show too.
Yes, that's what if we toss out.
There's whole episodes of like one sister each, and they have a little more of a dynamic thing. It's not just the one I want to kiss boys, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then I get to kiss a boy at the end because I just do it.
Yeah, that was weird. The consent kiss.
This is my friend Pearl. I guess, do you want to come with me? I'm going to be a bad girl. Wait, no, we're in a bad situation. Ariel, I think we should leave. I think we need to learn from this and we need to go.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
It was just.
And the weird, like, super cool Flounder, I agree, was like really.
He just wasn't Flounder.
I didn't get it.
So. Yeah. I just wish the sisters were more well-rounded instead of just caricatures. Because, like you said, there is a lot of sister content. But, like, they all get mad at her. Why? Why are they mad at her?
They all get mad at her. She
didn't do anything wrong.
We have another evil woman in it that is purple and wearing a lot of makeup. So that's like, it's another trope that has come back with it. I will say that I loved Benjamin the Manatee.
Oh my gosh, Benjamin the Manatee is the best part of that whole movie.
He's the best part.
Benjamin the Manatee is worth the watch. I love that he's in jail for no reason.
Oh my god,
he does not have to be in jail at the end of that movie. No, he did absolutely nothing wrong.
That's what I was like. What is this beautiful thing that is coming out of this weird movie?
Benjamin the Green Manatee.
Yeah, and the random penguins that exist.
The one-liners in this are amazing. They did reference, I assume, because there were so many puns in that movie. Movie, especially by the villain. They referenced the original movie or the original story, the Hans Christian Andersen story, with the. I think we should shave their heads.
Yes, I saw that. I went, oh, I see what you did there.
No,
someone read the story.
Right. Oh yeah, it's still a fun movie.
Yeah,
I was bummed because the quality was so much higher.
Yeah, it was
visually.
Yeah,
but the quality if we put more puns in, it'll be good.
There's a couple of that.
And I was bummed.
If you didn't know the TV series, it gives you a very clear motivator for Triton to hate humans, but it's just not as developed. Like, it's just very quick and easy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you get to see baby Ariel, which was really cute.
Yeah.
And fun. But yeah, the random, like, jump in the line number, and I'm like, did you just choose not to write an original song? Why are we just doing this at a club?
Yeah, there's like just a lot of stuff that I'm like, you're balancing this. I don't know, especially compared to the other movie that they kind of tied everything in.
Mm-hmm.
I still believed it.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I'm like, I am having a hard time believing the plot of this.
Yeah.
All music is done, or that song specifically. You have a surprise West Wing in your palace that has an elevator. Like what?
Yeah. Yep.
I just was confused by so much of it because it was so, you just can't control that. And then there was, of course, no music to like hearken to.
Yeah, you've now destroyed music, which is a huge part of
this series.
Yeah. So
I was really disappointed because I'm like, oh, there's so many women on this.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
The princess just wants to kiss boys, and then the one is stupid.
Yep. Yeah.
My initials on it. They're all.
So there was a lot of women
in the series.
So at least the representation of women characters was there.
But the same women were in the other ones.
I know. I know. Disappointing. And I
didn't understand the Ariel hate either. Like when, so they get caught, and she's like, no, but why? Why?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Why don't you like music? Why can't we do that? And he's like, just go to your room.
Yeah.
And they go in there and they're all just angry at her, but not for taking them out. They're angry at her for pushing it.
Yeah. It's like,
and I'm like, that doesn't make, he's done nothing to you. You guys are not in trouble for her pushing.
Yeah.
You guys are not, like, why are you mad at her?
No one's happy.
Like unnecessary.
I saw all y'all dancing.
Conflict. Yeah.
I saw it.
It is unnecessary conflict to have right now.
Yeah.
Like that also, what a beautiful moment that could have been.
Yeah.
If like, does no one remember? Like, do none of you remember?
Yeah.
And having
the
a Tina
oldest had like
a Tina being like, no, this is what happened.
Yeah. This is why. This is what he's feeling. That
would have been beautiful. And then she doesn't get to save the day. Sebastian does.
Yeah, that bothered me a lot because in the second movie, so much Ariel is even more proactive than she was in the first movie, which she was very proactive in. So like, I feel like it just took like a huge step backwards.
And then this one, Sebastian's the one who's like, we're going to go get this thing that will help make him feel better. It'll remember his wife, remember that he loves music, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like Ariel doesn't do anything.
No.
Except for
get in trouble.
a scatting flounder.
Who all of a sudden is
and
like
then doesn't
a
get
cool
any of her questions
musician.
answered. Yeah. You're like, what?
It doesn't work. You can't pull it off.
I just was so disappointed with the missed opportunities with Atina.
Yeah.
Because that could have been such a well-rounded character for them to meet and have the sisters have a big moment and for them to be rounded to go from being these caricatures to like, oh, this is the life we've been living.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was with Ariel. She was asking all the right questions.
Yeah. No, I agree. So yeah, the only good thing out of that was the manatee. He can still exist because he's amazing.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, I just want like a little.
I mean,
plushie.
the puns are still hysterical.
Oh yeah, like it's still fun. It's colorful.
Still, like, enjoyable.
It's well drawn. It's a little bit better than like this. You know, like it's a higher. You're right.
It's new.
Yeah, it's a higher quality. It was 2008, and this was released right before the Broadway musical happened. So I think there might have been some push in getting her back out there too, because they were about to release the Broadway musical at the same time. So
right.
You know, which had its own weird things.
Yeah.
You know.
And now it's getting a live action.
It is. Yeah. They did a Disney live where the voice of Moana played Ariel.
Yes.
It happened.
I don't understand those.
Yeah.
But I am excited for the live action.
I'm very excited to see what they do with it because you just can't put swimming on stage. So, and they did their darndest to do it.
They did.
You know?
But yeah, I think it'll hopefully translate to live action very well.
Well, the movie itself aged just fine. You know, the only thing that Ursula even says, and she's the villain, so she's allowed to say the horrible thing, is the girl who holds a tongue who gets a man. I'm like, well, you're the villain. Yeah. Like, that's obviously like...
Yeah, of course you get away with anything.
You can say that. But everything else didn't. There wasn't anything that made me go, ooh, can't watch that now.
No. Yeah, no.
And that probably leads into the era-ness of the lack of era that exists in this story.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But
Ariel's great.
Yeah, she is, and she is flawed, and it's great in a great way because she's relatable in those flaws. She's relatable as a teenager, and I was thinking back on a lot of the princesses that we'll talk about in the few we have that she really feels like a teenager. That she is existing as a teenager with all of the flaws that come of that and all of the good things that come of that, where other people who happen to be 16 don't necessarily feel that way. No. So I do really enjoy that about Ariel. And I think that's why she's persisted through so much of it. And she's a mermaid. Like, that's so cool. Like, it's just so cool. You know, the only other non-human is like Tinkerbell. So it's so cool that you have that magical element to her.
I mean, Elsa is part spirit, or is
that's true.
So I guess there's that.
Yeah, that she has that. But yeah, and she's so popular too. Like, you know, when you get them that magical aspect to it, I think it's just so fantastical. And that she is just a teenager at the end of the day talking to a statue like she's trying to date it. You know, it's so relatable.
She's super relatable. Yeah. But I think you hit it on the head with like she's flawed in a beautiful way.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed it more than I thought. I always liked Ariel, but I was surprised at how much I went, oh no, she's a good role model. She's not naive and emotional in a way that is mean or that is selfish.
Oh, no.
Like, she's not selfish. Like, that's some of the biggest like issues I have with some of the other protagonists is that are teenager and kind of that like bullheadedness to them is that Ariel's not selfish at all. She's the first to sacrifice herself for people she cares about.
She definitely wants what she wants.
Oh yeah, get it.
But on her way to get there, if Flounder is being attacked by sharks, she's gonna make a stop.
She's gonna put other people's well-being in front of that want.
Yeah.
So she was great. I really enjoyed learning more about her and actually like deep diving and talking about her. So I have so many things to talk about. If you are new to the podcast, our after hours are what we do on our Patreon. We get a full video podcast episode and get to chat about everything that's not specifically Ariel related. So that's what we keep saying. Unfiltered. Super excited to talk about some of the other parts of this film that I love. But Ariel is fantastic. She's a great way to start off the season because she does start off the Renaissance, which was this blossom of the Disney Princess franchise. So it was a perfect choice. I loved it.
Yes. Well, we will see you next time. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Damsels in Dialogue. Tune in next week as we explore the origins of a legendary warrior and our Maiden Madness champion of 2021, Mulan.
If you enjoyed what you heard today, you can help us reach even more listeners by subscribing to the podcast and leaving a rating or comment in Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you are listening.
If you want to join us for even more discussions about The Little Mermaid or extra thoughts about any of our episodes, head over to our Patreon. There you can support the podcast and unlock an entire library of our exclusive after-hour video podcasts with new episodes arriving each month. You can also unlock research notes, bloopers, and more.
Follow us on social media and at our website on damselsindialogue.podbean.com. Until next time, this has been Damsels in Dialogue.
Have a nice day.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Royal Princess Parties, LLC, and is produced by Hello Out There Audio, part of Hello Out There Productions.